Hey guys, it's Sadia from the Cozy Nutty Knitter. I hope you're having a great day. Well, a few days ago, I posted a video of a sweater that I'm working on, a mock neck turtleneck. And I've had quite a few inquiries with regards to this ornate ribbing pattern. To be honest with you, as I've mentioned before, I really do not know the name of it. It's something that I picked up online some time ago, made a notation, and I was just waiting for the right time to use it, and I thought that I would use it to make this. It was on a free pattern, that's all I know, so I'm so sorry. I can't claim it as my own. However, I would love to show all of you how to knit this ornate pattern. So I'm nearly done with my current project. I have completed one sleeve all the way, and of course I have added this ribbing as part of my cuff here. And now I am nearly done. I have my other sleeve ready to go so I can start working on this rib pattern. Now, I've only worked this rib pattern in the round, and whatever project you decide to use this on, you will need to make sure that your stitch count on your needle is a multiple of 8. So I have on my circular needle 48 stitches, and of course it is a multiple of 8. So whether you're knitting 40 stitches, 48, 64, 88, anything that's a multiple of 8. The pattern itself is 8 stitches wide, but it's a 4-row repeat. So the first row is very simple. You knit 2 stitches and you purl 2 stitches all the way around. So that is what I'm going to start doing. So I'm going to knit 2 stitches and then purl 2 stitches. And you keep doing this until you have come to the end of your row. And you will end on purl stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on, and I will see you guys when I'm close to finishing this first row. Okay, so I am close to finishing the first row in my 4-row pattern. Purl, purl, and then these last 4 stitches, knit, knit, and purl, purl. Okay, there we are. So I have completed this first row of this pattern. I am going to slip my stitch marker. Now I'm ready for the second row. So the second row, it goes like this. So you will knit the first stitch. You will yarn over, so it looks like you've created another stitch, and then you will knit the following stitch. And then you will purl 2 stitches. Knit 2 stitches. And purl 2 stitches. Okay, bring my yarn to the back, and we're going to start the sequence again. So row number 2. Okay, row number 2, I will knit, yarn over, knit again, then purl twice, knit twice, and purl twice. Now, just as a suggestion to make your life easier so that you don't lose count as to where you are as far as sections on, you could place stitch markers every 8 stitches when you're first starting out with this. I am kind of lazy and I just don't. I just count on my counting. but that seems to work for me, but whatever makes it easier for you. Okay, so we just finished that sequence. We're going to do another sequence again. I'm going to show for row 2. We knit, yarn over, and then we knit again. So it looks like we have 3 stitches in this one sequence, okay? And then we're going to purl twice, knit twice, and purl 2 more times. And you keep continuing that sequence for the second row until you have reached your stitch marker. Okay, so I have my last 8 stitches left on my second round, so I am going to complete this. So knit, yarn over, knit the following stitch, purl the next 2 stitches, knit the next 2 stitches, and purl the last 2 stitches. Okay, so I have now completed the second row in this 4-row 8-stitch pattern. All right, so I'm going to slip my stitch marker right there. Now the third row, what you will need to do, okay, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to set myself up here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so the third row, the pattern is like this. So we'll knit 3 stitches, so 1, and then we'll knit the stitch that we yarned over, 2, and then the third knit stitch. Okay, and then purl, purl, knit, knit, and purl, purl. Okay, and yarn over. Bring your yarn to the back. Okay, let's try this again. So for the third row, stitch repeat is knit, knit. So the yarn that the yarn over that you created in the previous row, we will be knitting that as well. There we are. And then we will knit the third stitch. Okay, then we will purl the next 2, knit the following 2, and then purl the last 2 in this sequence. Okay, all right, bring the yarn to the back. We're going to do this sequence one more time. Actually, we have a few more times to do. All right, here we are. Okay, so we're going to knit 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, yarn forward. We're going to purl the next 2, 1, 2, knit the 2 following, and then purl the last 2 in the sequence. All right, yarn back. Let's do this again. It's starting to come together, and you'll see it in a moment. Okay, so knit these 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Purl the next 2 stitches. Knit following 2 stitches. And purl the last 2 stitches in the sequence. Okay, and now the last sequence. So we should have 9 stitches left on our needle, at least for this round. So the last sequence in the third row. So we're going to knit 3 times, 2 and 3. Okay, then we're going to purl 2 stitches, knit the next 2 and the last 2 stitches in this sequence, we purl. Okay, so now for the last row, slip that stitch marker. So for row number 4, here's what happens, because now each sequence has a total of 9 stitches, and we're going to bring it back down to 8. So we will knit the first 3 stitches. Oops, do that again, 2 and 3. And then we're going to go to the first stitch in that sequence. And with your left needle, we're going to pull that stitch over the next 2 stitches. We're going to pull it over and off the needle, just like that. So we're down to 2 knit stitches here. And then we will purl twice, knit twice, and then purl twice again. Oops. Okay, so we will repeat the 4th row again. The sequence for that, I'm going to bring my yarn in the back. Okay, I am going to knit the first 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to the first stitch of that sequence with my left needle and pick it up and bring it on over the following 2 stitches and take it off the needle. Just drop it like that. And then we continue on and we purl 2 stitches, knit 2 stitches, and purl 2 stitches. I'm not sure if you can see it developing right there. I mean, once the second 4-row repeat comes on, it really pops out. But let's try this again. So once again, 4th row, first 3 stitches, we knit 1, 2, and 3. And then we go to the first knitted stitch of that sequence. Pick that up with your left needle, bring it on over those 2 stitches, make sure those stitches stay on. Just like that, drop that first stitch, and then we continue on. Purl, purl, knit, knit, and purl, purl. And I'm just going to keep going through this with you guys until we're done. Okay, oops, did I mess up here? Oh, I forgot to purl the last stitch. I said it, but I didn't do it. Okay, there we go. All right, so we'll continue on with the sequence again. Knit the first 3 stitches. Okay, left needle, take that very first knitted stitch, grab it with your, left needle, bring it over the following 2 stitches, keeping those 2 stitches on, pull it over, drop that stitch, and then we purl, purl, knit, knit, and purl, purl. There we go. All right, let me see. I think I have 2 sequences left. Okay, let's do this again. Knit the first 3 stitches. This is for row 4. Oops, I'm sorry. I was missing an important step. So I knitted those first 3 stitches and bring that yarn over those 2 stitches. Then continue, I was jumping the gun. Continue on to purl, purl, knit, knit, purl, purl. Okay, and I should have 9 stitches left here to finish my 4th row. Okay, here we go. So knit 3 stitches, 2, 3. Go to that first knitted stitch, grab it with your left needle, and sometimes it's a little tricky, but I can get it. There we go. I don't know why I'm having such difficulties, but okay, there we go. I think I just knitted it too tight. Pull it on over these 2 stitches. There we are. Okay, and then I will finish the sequence with the purl, purl, knit, knit, and purl, purl. And we have completed this ribbing pattern and at least one section. And I'm not sure if it's easy to see. I'm sorry, my project's all twisted here. But I'm going to go on ahead and continue to knit this a few more times, so at least you'll see how it will develop. Okay, so I went ahead and knitted quite a few more rows. I've repeated this pattern 4 times. You can tell 4 rows here, 4 rows here, 4 rows here, 4 rows here. And for me, this cuff, I wanted to make sure that I repeated it 5 times. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these last 4 rows with you. So once again, I'm going to make sure my yarn is forward, and the first row is nothing but 2 knit stitches and then 2 purl stitches, and then all the way around until we reach our stitch markers. So I'm just going to knit, knit, and purl, purl all the way around until I have reached my stitch marker. Okay, I am almost done with completing that first row of our 4-row repeat pattern. Knit, knit, and 2 more stitches left in this row, and I will purl. Slip my stitch marker. Okay, now onwards to row 2, where I will knit a stitch, yarn over, knit again, and then purl, purl, and knit, knit, and purl, purl. Oops. Okay. Let's repeat the sequence again. All right. Let's go into knit that first stitch in the sequence, yarn over, knit again. Then I'm going to purl, purl, knit, knit, and purl, purl. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and continue to work on this row. And when I'm close to finishing this row, we will work on the 3rd row. Okay, I am almost done with the 2nd row. And form 2 purl stitches, 2 knit stitches, and then 2 more purl stitches. All right, now we are ready for row 3. So I'm going to move my stitch marker over again. All right, so for now, row 3, what we do is we will knit these 3 stitches, and that includes that yarn over right there. So knit, 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 and then just as with the rest of the rows, purl, purl, knit, knit, and purl, purl. Okay, so repeating that sequence again. I should have probably switched over to double pointed needles as I'm stretching this out, but I'm in the home stretch. Okay, so row number 3. Here we go. So we knit, 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 so 3 stitches, purl, purl, knit the next 2, and purl the last 2 in the sequence. Okay, start that sequence over again. Knit the first 3 stitches, purl the next 2, oops, knit the next 2, and purl the last 2 in the sequence. And I'm going to continue on, and I will meet you when I am close to finishing the 3rd row. Okay, so I am nearly done with the 3rd row. So knit, 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 purl the next 2 stitches, knit the following 2 stitches, and the last 2 stitches in the sequence will be 2 purl stitches. Okay, so my last row, the 4th row, I'm going to slip my stitch marker right here. All right, and this is where it gets fun for me. Okay, so the last row, the 4th row, we are going to knit the first 3 stitches, and then we're going to take our left-hand needle over to that very first stitch that we knitted, and we're going to yank it over the 2 stitches next to it and just drop it. And then we're going to purl twice, purl the next 2 stitches, knit the next 2 stitches, and purl the last 2 stitches in the sequence. All right. And here we go again. So we're starting the beginning of that sequence. There are 9 stitches in the sequence at this point. So we're going to knit these first 3 stitches, 2, 3, and then we're going to take our left needle and pull that very first stitch of the sequence on over those 2 stitches, and then just drop it so the 2 stitches are left. All right. And then we're going to purl, purl, knit, knit, and purl, purl. All right, so I'm going to continue on, and I will meet you when I am done with this 4th row. Okay, so I am close to finishing this final section. Bring the yarn over. Oops, did I drop a stitch? Yes, I did. Oops, I'm going to have to reknit that again. There we go. There we are. Bring that over. Drop it, and then I am going to, once again, purl, purl, knit, knit, and the last 2 stitches will be purl, purl. So I have completed what I needed to complete for my cuff, and I'm going to actually create one more knit row, and then I'm going to bind off. But I wanted to show you all how to create this really, really nice and different ribbing pattern. And I hope I have taught you a few things. I hope you are able to add a little more pizzazz to maybe just a regular sweater. I'm sure there are multiple uses for this, but I thought that it was just a really, really neat way to take a simple sweater and give it a little bit of pizzazz by knitting a different type of ribbing. And there are so many other ribbings out there, types of ribbings out there. Now, once again, this is a pattern that I saw on a video some time ago. It was a free pattern. Actually, I watched the video. I didn't see actually any written instructions. And I have tried to see if I could find anywhere on the internet where this is done. I haven't been able to find it. If you have, and if you can tell me what the name of it is, that would be great to share it with me. I don't want to take 100% credit for this because it is not my pattern. But I felt that I had to share it with all of you. And as usual, please feel free to reach out to me with any comments, any questions. I'd love to answer them. And I was so happy that quite a few of you wrote to me and told me how you were interested in this pattern. And I'm so glad to be able to share it with you. So please do me a favor. If you do knit this up, share it with me because I'd love to see how it turns out. But thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again in another video.